So a few years ago, my husband and I were driving from Seattle to Portland. We were going to meet my cousins for dinner in Portland, and about an hour out of town, the freeway traffic just came to a complete standstill. We're like, what is going on? So, like any American with a cell phone, I'm looking up trying to figure it out. And there was a carjacking with a fatal shooting on one of the main bridges that takes you across the Columbia River from Seattle from Washington into Oregon. And so as we were sitting there stuck for literally hours in traffic on the freeway, um, my what if imagination kicked into gear and it was like, what if there was a woman in labor in all this mess? Like, how's she going to get to a hospital? Or what if somebody sitting in one of these cars is trying to get to a dying loved one's bedside to say goodbye? Or what? I mean, there was all these scenarios playing around in my thoughts of what one man's choice did to thousands of people that day. And so I just kept thinking about that, like the impact one person can have over so many lives. And so since it was on a bridge, I just felt like that was such maybe a different and unique starting point for a catalyst of something bigger. And so um, I was actually talking to my cousins who live in Portland, like, what would be a fun bridge to set a story on? And I told them kind of what I was thinking. And so we brainstormed bridges, and I just loved the St. John's Bridge. It has so much history and it's got this great Gothic architecture to it. And it is such a landmark in Portland. So that's why I chose the St. John's Bridge as the starting point for all the story and all the connection. Sergeant Archer he's a specialist at negotiating. And so Archer, he loves his job, he loves his family, he loves his life, but sometimes he needs a break. Um, he has worked all the holidays all year to guarantee that he's going to have Christmas Eve and Christmas Day off to spend with his beloved wife. And so he is just sleeping in, he's laid back, he's eating his sugary cereal, he's having a great Christmas Eve morning until his phone rings and it's his boss saying, hey, we need you. And although he doesn't want to go, he doesn't hesitate to go. And that's kind of Archer in a nutshell. Like, he is so dedicated, so loyal, so honorable, and he always wants to do what's going to help the greater good. And so Archer puts aside his plans for the day and heads off to the bridge. So he's our first character that you meet in the story. Um, some of the other characters, Rosalie is our pregnant mama to be, who is a month away from her due date, and she goes into labor on the bridge. Um, a few cars back from Rosalie is Nova, our nurse, and Nova is the kind of person I would want to live next door to. Like, Nova is just this big-hearted, caring, giving person, and I think she really does offer up a sacrifice that day. She sacrifices her rest, her personal time, her holiday plans to step in and help Rosalie, and that forges a bond, I think, that is something pretty special. And then we have Carter, the tow truck driver, who is trying to get wrecked cars off the bridge from the moment of impact from a person in crisis who starts the whole problem in the story. And then our last character is Ian, a college student who is trying to find a job that will launch him into his career. And so it's Ian and his rideshare driver, Kate, wrap up the cast of characters. I think one of the fun ones was just the Nova and Rosalie, and for me, was interacting with them, especially at the hospital. Rosalie's wanting her husband there, and they can't find him, and it's just one of those things. And so Nova is doing all this stuff to try and take her mind off of it. And I think one of my favorite scenes is Nova coaxes Rosalie into dancing. And it's just something so out there, you know, for someone who's in labor. And it's just a really fun scene. There are also some fun scenes with Ian and Kate because they just meet that day, but there's like this instant spark and connection with them. And so some of that just dialogue of him trying to get to know her because she's more of a standoffish. She has walls up just to protect herself. And so there's some fun there. And then Carter is kind of a mentor to one of his employees. And so the interaction between the two of them, it's almost more like father and son. And so I just love that relationship and those connections that they have with one another.